Jasmine from SpicedUpFitness.com, and today, sorry, this is really hard. I wasn't going to do a YouTube video about this, and I actually decided right before I ran it to do a video. But 2 days ago, I ran 26.2 miles because I was 26.2. So one of my friends had told me about this girl she knew that to celebrate her 26th birthday, she ran a marathon, so every mile represented a year of her life. And I decided that I was going to do the same thing. And this was just, but I decided I wanted to do it when I was 26.2 because my mind just thinks like that. It thinks really odd and awkward. And this really, I can't put into words what this means to me. I'm a runner, and there's just a lot of, I don't know, I guess you say there's a lot of symbology to this. But what I'm going to talk about today are just really 5 tips, and there may not be the type of tips you're looking for, so I'm going to warn you right now. This video is just, it's not your average video that I was shooting. I'm honestly not quite sure how long I'm going to leave it up on YouTube, or yeah, I don't even know if this video is going to make it that far to even get to YouTube, but we'll see what happens. It sort of takes, this video is just a step for me. But this isn't even really the first point, or the first little tip, but the first thing about a marathon, even not the first official tip, just don't do it. Do not run a marathon without training. Okay? I'm just going to say, excuse my words, because there's no way else to say it, but do not fucking do it. Do you understand me? Do not do that to your body. just don't. Shout out to John, who he was really nice. He told me about this marathon training program, which I should have done, that walks you through exactly what to do. It steps you whether you're complete, beginner, intermediate, advanced. It has step-by-step instructions on what to do, and I'm going to put the link below. It's on halhigdon.com, and at least I believe that's a link, but I'll double check. I'll put it below. So that's something he passed on to me, and I should have used it, and I didn't, but I'm passing on to you. That way you can, and you don't have to be like me. So you'll be okay on that front. I've been having a lot of health issues lately, and I'm not usually, but I'm a runner. And this past month, or in the month of January, I was only able to run maybe not even 5 times leading up to my marathon. And here's the thing, this is what makes me so crazy, is it's a private marathon. There wasn't a single soul around. It was it's crazy. In the area I ran in, people get mugged at 11 a.m. Okay? And I spent a majority of the marathon running in the dark. I know, afterwards, since being like, Jasmine, really? Like, really? And I'm a smart woman, I really am. Sometimes when it comes to myself, I tend to put myself in situations where I would not let any of my friends do it, and I would probably cuss them out if I found out that they were doing it. But yeah, so, sorry, I got totally off track, and that's why I made a list. But, yeah, so, that's what I was talking about being hard. Oh, sorry, a little ADD. Like I said, this is really hard for me to do. So with all my health issues, I ran the marathon. I didn't really run it. I more like limped it, and it took me forever. It's the longest time it's ever taken someone to get through a marathon. Like, that's probably me. It took me the longest time possible. I started having pains. I should have brought my shoes in to show you the sneakers that I wore. I just wore a pair of old sneakers. I've had them for a really long time. They're Nike trainers. Shout out to Nike. They're pretty rough. Like, there's a chunk missing in the heel. I had shooting pains up my legs end of mile 1, beginning of mile 2. So I limped it the remaining miles up until I got maybe about mile 26. But yeah, or mile 25, I should say. So it was painful. Like if you've ever seen a race and you see the runners, like the people that come at the end and they're hobbling like back and forth, that hobbler was me throughout the entire run. Like that was me. My goal was to finish. So the first, I know, I always remember having gone to the first official point, I apologize. So the first thing is that choose your points, or choose your, like each mile, basically I made a list. I made a list of 26 significant things that happened and my past 26 years, and each mile represented a year of my life. So I named each mile. Each mile was an honor of someone, a representation of something, and somewhat recently, really not that recent, but a little while ago, I learned the art of, like, running was always my outlet. You didn't have to have money to run. You could just run. You don't have to pay to run. You don't have to do anything to run. You don't have to have fancy shoes. You don't have to have any equipment. You just get out and you go. And when I run, my mind it shuts off. So running was my escape, and I sort of had to learn how to turn running from being my escape to running being my release for me. So running was my release, and when I listed the 26 points, what really surprised me is that some of them, they really didn't, I don't say they didn't apply anymore, but like I know 1 mile I had dedicated to when I was, getting my undergrad and I didn't have food. And, and I had an eviction notice, and like for me, books and my education, that was more important than eating. But instead of me running the mile thinking about like, oh my goodness, what a hard time that was, and trust me, I just gave you a short little example. I know that that's nothing serious at all. It really just a celebration about the meals that did come when I was hungry, like the blessings that did come into my life, the meals that I didn't have to go without, even if it was just that one meal a day, what I was able to do off that one meal a day, or if there wasn't a meal for that day, the meal I was able to have the day after. So like I said, like something like that, while I was running, I'm like, why is this even on my list? Like it wasn't even relevant for that mile. It wasn't a big deal. And I remember, I think it was mile 19 or something, like it popped into my head this one time when I had a boss, and he just, I don't know, he sort of thought that my body was his body, and it's not, it's mine. So, but I thought about that instance, and I'm like, you know what? That point, that didn't even make it on my list. Like, that wasn't serious at all. Like, I don't know. I guess it was serious, but just in terms of the grand scheme of things, just know that an event happened. So I know this seems like I'm coming off the marathon, and I promise you this is relevant. I really am still on it. But, I just know that, like, in therapy sometimes they're trying to talk through the past, everything that happened, and sometimes it's okay to have that stuff locked up and buried in a black box. As long as you're able to operate and you're able to move on to your day-to-day things, sometimes it's okay to acknowledge, like, this happened in my past, but this is my past, and I've moved on. So if I was able to survive that moment, then I can survive the next one. Just like, the event that happened, but not to have it haunting you or in your thoughts. And I'm sure therapists would be all anti what I'm saying right now. That I know that some people that really like to talk about stuff, but just know that survivor is synonymous with the words warrior. And on my list, the things that really like hurt me the most are, I don't want to use the word hurt, but the things that like were the most major that actually had to do with somebody other than myself. Don't get me wrong, it's not easy to take pain, whatever pain it may be, but it's like, I don't know how the words for it. It's like, I'd rather take that person's pain than them having to take it themselves, or for, you know, them to be all alone. And I know it sounds weird and it's probably not making any sense, so I'm just gonna move on. But this may help. Like I said, don't ever run a marathon without training, but to run one, it may be helpful to have each of these moments represent a different, or each of the miles represent an instance in your life. And it sort of gives you like, oh, okay, if I got past that, I can get through the next mile. Like, that's nothing, you know? And it will surprise you of what you've let go, because I'm like, I had this list of 26 things. And really, up until the last mile, I'm like 100%, not 100%, that's a complete lie, but I'm like, wow, there's so much I don't know if to let go. I released it, but why was this even on my list? Like, it's really not that serious. Or even if it is that serious, you know what? It happened. It's my life, and I'm gonna move on. So, point number 2. Okay, so I already talked a little bit about how I limped the entire way, how it took me so much longer. Like I said, the longest time it ever took everyone it took me, and it was absolutely horrible. But I don't think it was horrible, but yeah, no, it was complete hell. There's nothing special about me. You could do it. Anybody can do it. There's nothing special about me. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Jasmine. I do. Love me some Jasmine. But there's nothing special about me. There's nothing special about Michael Jordan. There's nothing special about Oprah. And I'm not saying this to be evil or antagonistic or anything like that. There's nothing special about Mother Teresa. But there is something unique about them, and there's something unique about me. I'm not saying I'm the next Mother Teresa, because I'm not. I'm myself, and I aspire to be able to touch the world the way Mother Teresa did. But it's just being able to tap onto it, being able to get to the next level, to keep on going, to keep on pushing your body. That's where that uniqueness comes. That's the part that you're complete badass. Like, everyone, it's not equal playing field. It's not equal playing field at all. To some people, as Oprah say, success is when preparation meets opportunity. Not everyone is going to be given the opportunity. You know, I know that, but we all have the ability to become something more than we ever thought possible. So, like, there wasn't a point in the marathon that I wondered if I could do it, because I knew I was going to do it. Like, that was a given. I knew I was going to finish. I don't care if I was crawling. I was going to finish. Like, there was no other option. So just point number 2, there's nothing special. Like, you can tap into it. So another way to flip it, a little more positive way to flip it. Okay, so you have the royalty, you have the gracefulness as Princess Diana. You can be the business savvy as Oprah, Susie Orman. You have the same dedication that Michael Jordan did to make it through his but to master the game of basketball. You have that. You have Ray Lewis's drive. Like, you have that. You do. You have that. There's nothing special about those people. You have the same thing. You can tap into the same thing. So just knowing, like, who's in your rank, like, who you hold court with. So there's nothing, you know, whether you're thinking about the Joneses, you know, there's nothing special about the Joneses, whether are the people with their fancy high heels and fancy cars and big houses. There's nothing special about that. And if you do have a big house, there's nothing special about the house or that's bigger next. Like, there's really not, like, you are bigger, I should say larger, but there's nothing, no. There's absolutely nothing special. There's nothing special about Michelle Obama. Like, you can be Michelle Obama, you can be your version. Like, there's literally nothing special about these people, but they are incredibly unique because they tapped into that, and you can do the same thing. So I just think running this marathon, you know, when you do decide to run one, if you do decide to run one, just knowing who you hold court with, because that's an amazing thing. That's a blessing from God. And yeah, that's amazing. Okay. Point number 3, fall down. So for every mile I ran, I did twice that amount of push-ups. Now this is a decision I did regret. Towards the end, I did regret it a little bit. And I did that. Well, first I should say shout out to Dennis, who suggested, and this is a really great suggestion, that anytime you go to run, you can do, like, if you need to pace yourself, like you're trying to work into it, if you run for 10 minutes and rest for 5 minutes, or not rest, but walk for 5 minutes and run for another 10 minutes, that can be a way to sort of help you to pace yourself. That way you can succeed. If you're just trying to work into a race, if you have a race plan, you're like, shoot, I don't have a lot of time. So yeah, I put push-ups. I did double amount of push-ups every time I spent running, just because I feel like I spend a lot more time on the ground, and glory to God for helping me to get back up, and for my friends who have also been there for me through a lot. So I would always think of one of my friends, and so that I know that's the symbology behind it. I guess the realistic comparison, when you're going to run any type of race, is you'll have something with you. So shout out to Matt for insisting that I bring peanut butter with me. In the back of my head, I was going to, and I looked at the cover, I'm like, oh, we have a smooth peanut butter. But what Matt said about the fact that no one is going to know where I'm running, and that I'm running in the dark. So, and I knew when I started that I'd have to end up the race in the dark. So, yeah, I went ahead and I put some peanut butter into those Ziploc bags. I had peanut butter and almonds, and bottle blue Gatorade, and that pretty much saved me. So that helps to lift you up. So in life, you know, whether it's your friends, whether it's God, like there's something to lift you up. When you run a race, use that peanut butter to help you, help to get you there. I know, a weird analogy. I tend to try in the most abstract things. But the only time I felt alone was when it got scary out there. So it got pretty unsafe. Tried to ship my route. Like I said, this place where 11 a.m. people can get mugged, and I tried to be careful while I was running and tried to run in a nicer neighborhood. Dogs came out, and it wasn't good. Groups of people came out, and yeah, so anyway, so I am having to finish the last 6 miles. I did stairs for most of that 6 miles, or for a large part of 6 miles I did that as stairs, just because it got to the point where like I have no idea how I'm even, like I knew it just wasn't safe anyway, but I really couldn't run another round. I would think the Lord would be like, thank you so much for helping me to get through without someone hurting me. Like, thank you so much. And after that last round, at was it mile number 20, I knew I could not run that route again, and there weren't any other routes I could go. So I had to do the last 6 miles of stairs, or most of the 6 miles of stairs, and that was a killer. It's point number 4. I'm almost done, I promise. There's only 5. So point number 4 is to get pissed off. I really wasn't that mad, and if I had been mad, I would have ran a lot faster because I've been running from here. So the day that my grandma died, I ran 3 miles, barely stopping, until my body collapsed, and I just ran. There was one other time where I just ran. So that's only happened twice where I've just, and they were both like times where it was just like from here, like it was just like there wasn't anything, like it was broken, like I was broken, and I'm like a gun, like I shot out like a gun, And it's probably, it might be a good thing that I didn't get that mad until towards the end, because when that happens, when, like, I shut down all the way and I'm just gone, like I'm a monster, I shut down and I'm out. And so even my body breaks down, no matter what happens, I'm just completely in a different place. And I don't know if that would have been a great idea to be that out of tune with my body when I'm already running in the dark. And I already was sick and had, some health issues before I even started to run. So, but at the end, I just got pissed off. And I know I said earlier, like, oh, I had these 26 points, and each point represented a mile in my life, and yada, 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 but I released it. And yeah, I gave you an example of, I think only one of them was actually on the list, but of 2 of the light points. The rest of it, they're pretty deep stuff. And yeah, I had learned to release most of what was on the list. Almost all of it. But just had learned to release it. But there was a point where I was pissed off. Why do these 26 things appear on my list or anybody's list? These are 26 instances which should not be on anybody's list. Like, these are 26 things which never should have happened. And I was mad as hell that it did. Now, I know different people, like, I know everyone has their struggles. I'm not saying anything special about me, but I was pissed off. When I was pissed off, I demolished. Like, I tore that last mile up. So, when you run out of it here, you kick it into here. You get into the drive and you go. And you're absolutely gone. Now, trying to do an official race or something, then it would have been safer for me to go there, I think, a lot earlier. Or if I had been angry earlier. No. Do it in controlled environments. So if you're going to run a marathon, try and do a controlled environment, and then you can kick it into here. That way, if something happens to your body, when your body breaks apart, there's someone there to get you. There wasn't anyone there to get me. And I wasn't pissed off about the stuff until mile number 26, and I thought about, like, what I was doing, or really till mile 25, and I'm like, wait a minute, I wrote this list. This is what was on this list. And that's fucked up. Boom. Okay? So, turn that anger, okay? Turn that pain into the next step to go forward. And there was a point where I couldn't think of anything else, and it was just the step. I couldn't even necessarily think about the goal, because I knew I was going to get there, but I couldn't even think about it. I couldn't think about anything. I was just one step in front of the other, one step in front of the other, and that's all I focused on. The step to 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 the push-up to the push-up to the push-up to the steps to the step to the step to the push-up, push-up, push-up. And actually, right before I started to run, I even grabbed my iPhone, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can, like, take a few pictures, take a few videos. That didn't really last. For the push-ups, the phone kept on falling over. And this was just really a personal, really something personal. I really is not going to put this video on YouTube. But I just hope that God uses this video to help at least one person, at least while this video's up. Because I think I'm going to take it down. Or even if you stuck with me for this long through the video, I'm very impressed, and thank you for sticking around. But so from mile number 14, I forget what the exact mile was, but I had to do without music. So there was no, like, I'm pitch black, one foot in from the other, no music, no one cheering me on, but it was okay. Like, it was okay. The scariest part, well, aside from what some of the things that happened before I had to make the decision to change my route and just do stairs at the end, very painful experience. But the scariest thing, aside from that, was after the race. And I didn't know this, and I've worked with a lot of runners and stuff, and maybe it's because their condition, they're in much better shape. But I was scared. Day after, I was very scared. I mean, I was still able to train, so I still trained my clients. You know, they had a kick-ass workout. It made people sweat. It was awesome. But my body wasn't right. My body just, something's not right. And I think I had gotten to the point where I knew I pushed myself here and I tapped into here a little bit, and then the physicality, like that whole action I would have done, it hit me. Now, I mean, I'm probably gonna still run. I mean, it hurts to walk, but I'm gonna find some way to maybe jog a little bit today or tomorrow or something. Like I have to. I can't. Now that I know what is possible to push my body through. Okay, I know I shouldn't do that on a regular basis, but anyway, so I know this is a long rambling thing, and you really didn't have to watch the whole thing. If you did, thank you. And I would probably say the biggest takeaway is that regardless of what anyone says, stay true to you and know who you are. You define you, no one defines you, no one else determines your destiny but you. And you're unique, you're special, you can do anything you put your mind to.